Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Sing Beyond and Through with Monty. Today, we're going to get into the sexual fluidity of rapper Isaiah Rashad. And if you can remember, earlier this year, Isaiah Rashad was caught up in a controversy, and that controversy involved a sex tape. Yes, indeed. He was one of many who of recent times have had sex tapes leaked. Now, he sat down with Joe Budda to discuss that and to discuss how he identifies sexually. I want you to have a listen to this.
For the people who didn't know, how do you identify today?
I'd say I'm sexually fluid.
What does that mean?
I I'm still learning about it myself. I'm getting put my heads in the books to find out the basics of it. But basically, I'm not in full control of when I walk into a room who I'm attracted to. Okay. And just because I grew up in high school, I dated this type of person. In college, I dated this type of person. Doesn't necessarily mean as an adult that it's gonna always be like specific, but I'm more so attracted to like a personality. I'm attracted sometimes to the intellect, and sometimes just being attracted to somebody.
Okay, so I want to explore this. He says personally and intellectually that he cannot help who he's attracted to, or basically he has no control over that. And I've heard this before. And usually it comes from black men. And black women, I want to give you a warning. When you hear a straight black male say, you cannot help who you fall in love with, or you have no control over who you fall in love with, that's code for I'm not into black women, that I'm looking for others. But I want to address this today from, I guess, the sexually fluid standpoint, and I'll just have some questions. Because with this particular statement and belief, I call BS on it. And I'll explain to you why. Isaiah Reed says he identifies as sexually fluid in a new interview. First and foremost, I was surprised that he was 31. I thought he was a little younger, like about 24. But you don't know what you are, 31? And I can kind of give it to him that maybe he is still exploring it, questioning it, trying to figure things out. Okay, I can give that much to him, but I do have some questions though. When you make claims that you cannot help who you fall in love with, or this love is love crap, or somehow I just have no control over my feelings, emotions, desires, they drive me. If you have no control over that, can you fall in love with someone who's like 1,000 years old? If you're so drawn to their personality and intellect? So if they came in the form of an older body, would it still be okay for you? Or would you look past that? Or let's just say this much, if you have no control over it, can you, I guess, slide in love with someone who could be a bit overweight? Would that matter to you? So basically what you're saying is that so-called just chemistry, the right attitude, personality, communication, mutual interest, it wouldn't matter because you look towards the inside. So whatever type of shell in which that person comes in or they're encased in, it's okay. Because basically what you say is that you have no control over your desires. You have no control over who you love, who you like. Basically, you're saying that you are that weak, that your feelings, desires, emotions override your basic will. That to me is just strange because if that's really the case, can you fall in love with someone who's homeless? So I'm just asking these questions for people who make that ridiculous assertion or who make that ridiculous claim that love is love. You can't help who you fall in love with. You can't help who you fall in like with. It's almost like they're hapless. They just have no control over that. And for people to say that, I think only a weak-minded person with little or no control over their feelings, emotions, or desires would even make a statement like that. It sounds very childish. It doesn't sound like an adult with free will, who we can vet people. We can determine who is right for us. I think that people are trying to appeal with this super minded mentality and trying to make themselves look good to people by saying, oh, wow, they're such a decent person. It doesn't matter what color the person is. It doesn't matter what their social status is, what their beliefs are, what they look like on the outside. I mean, they're truly looking in the inside of that particular person. They are basically so well mentally and spiritually attuned that they can avoid the outside of that particular person. And I'm just not buying that. I don't buy that particular mentality at all. I think it's very self disingenuous, and I think that it's leading people to the wrong path. And I just think that it's a big lie for anyone to make that claim and to put it out there that basically it doesn't matter what the outside looks like. That regardless of that, I'm going to follow my feelings and emotions. Actually, you're not even following them. You're pretty much allowing them to dictate and to guide you. It's to the point that you have no control over that. And that to me is just really ridiculous. I don't know about you, but I do have control over my feelings, emotions, desires. No, I just think that a presentable package for me is extremely important. You got to have some type of physical attraction to someone along with the chemistry, along with having the right attitude, personality, communication, mutual respect, all that stuff. I don't see how people can separate that and just go by certain things and kind of like devoid other things, the physicality. So I don't think most people who make that claim, obviously, they don't follow that. I mean, I don't know why they throw that BS out there. That to me would be a claim like, I mean, someone like a Buddhist maybe can do something like that. Someone who has not been exposed to very westernized culture, who have not been in our society, maybe they can do something like that among their own people per se. But for Americans to make that claim right there, and people who are fairly young, brought up in a very materialistic society, a society that's based upon what you look like, that gives a lot of credence and gives a lot of points to people who are attractive. So, no, I think that people need to really cut that BS out and just admit that physicality is important. It's not just a personality or intellect or the chemistry that you look at. And just realize that you're not capable of doing that yet. You haven't reached that particular level yet. And most of us would never reach a level like that, where we're just capable of looking on the insides completely, and going by that. And you know what? I think it's okay if we never reach that particular level. The most important thing is that we do no harm to people. We don't murder, we don't rape, we don't rob, we don't molest children, we don't harm animals. We don't have to set ourselves up to be just somehow super social conscious person who's just so evolved mentally that we just are so able to look on the insides, and that's all that matters. So people, let's be honest and be truthful with ourselves. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Sin Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all beyond and through.